bhavika, leading to repeated existence, to new rebirth. He also says that craving seeks delight now here and now there. As long as the body lives, the mind clings to it. Craving uses the body as its means for finding delight. At death, the body stops functioning, so it can no longer support the stream of consciousness. But the craving remains, so when the link between the mind and the body is broken at death, then craving drives the current of consciousness onto a new body. It latches onto a new body as its physical form, brings about rebirth. Conception sets in, the embryo is formed, and the drive for existence continues in a new form, with a new body as its support, renewing its search for pleasure and enjoyment. Therefore, the Buddha says that craving, tanha, is the house builder. It builds up the whole house of samsara, all the forms of existence. And as long as the craving is unchecked, the wheel of rebirth continues to turn. It's like a leapfrog arrangement. Craving gives rise to new existence provides the base for craving. In this way, craving constructs the round of becoming. It issues in rebirth. In that way, it originates the dukkha of the five aggregates, the psychophysical process, again and again. Now, in the third noble truth, the Buddha makes it known that this process of becoming doesn't have to continue indefinitely. He announces the cessation of dukkha. This is the dukkha nirodha arya satya, the noble truth of the cessation of suffering. And this truth shatters the charge of pessimism and reveals the great affirmation of the Buddha, the affirmation that suffering can be totally overcome, and that a state of perfect peace is open and available. Now, the cessation of dukkha is arrived at simply by following through to its conclusion the logic of causality underlying the second noble truth. If craving is the origin of dukkha, then the key to putting an end to dukkha lies in eliminating craving. And so the cessation of dukkha is the complete cessation and elimination of craving. Now, the cessation of suffering that comes with the end of craving, this can be understood at two levels, the psychological and metaphysical level, corresponding to what we said before about craving as the cause of suffering. First, at the psychological level, when craving is cut off, then all mental unhappiness comes to an end. The mind is utterly released from sorrow, worry, fear, grief, and distress. But this is not a mere negative state, but corresponding to the end of dukkha there comes the great peace, mahashanti, the supreme happiness, complete joy. The liberated one, the arahant, lives in perfect peace, always content, always serene and happy. He can still experience physical pain that comes through the body. He can still fall sick, and he has to grow old and die. But since his mind is released from all clinging, these cause him no disturbance. He goes through them without sorrow. His mind stands unshakable among all the vicissitudes of life. Then, with his death, the whole process of becoming comes to an end. Since he's abandoned craving, there's no seed for new existence. Samsara, the round of rebirths, draws to a close. This is the state of final deliverance. But this end of dukkha, this is not annihilation, not a plunge into utter non-being, but simultaneously it's a full attainment of the unconditioned nibbana. The liberated one passes out from the world of becoming to a state which is immeasurable and inconceivable, beyond the range of concepts and words. Thus, the third noble truth, the cessation of dukkha, is the reality designated nibbana. Then, in the fourth noble truth, the Buddha points out the way to bring about the end of dukkha, the path to reach nibbana. That way is the noble eightfold path, which consists of the 8 factors: right views, right intentions, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. This is a practical course of treatment which can be applied to our life to overcome the problem of dukkha. So the fourth noble truth is the way to the cessation of suffering, the noble eightfold path. As we go along, we'll deal in much greater detail with the third and fourth noble truths. Here we just deal with them lightly. We'll deal with them more in later lectures. Now we conclude by explaining the functions to be performed with regard to each noble truth. For each of the 4 noble truths presents a challenge. It imposes a particular task which the follower of the Dhamma has to take up and fulfill. The first noble truth, the truth of dukkha, has to be fully understood. We have to understand the truth of our own existence, of our experience. And so the task imposed by this truth is full understanding, to understand our experience made up of the 5 aggregates. The second noble truth, tanha or craving, also imposes a task. That is abandonment. We have to abandon craving, the craving which originates suffering. Then the third noble truth, the truth of the cessation of suffering, nibbana, that is to be realized, to be attained. The task is the realization of nibbana. And then the fourth noble truth, the truth of the path, that is to be developed, practiced, and cultivated. By developing the path, we come to the full understanding of dukkha. By understanding dukkha, we abandon craving. And by abandoning craving, we realize nibbana, the end of dukkha. In this way, the development of the path is the key to fulfilling all 4 functions regarding the 4 noble truths.